Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Deadbolt. This is not a recently released Ryan Reynolds-led Marvel Universe action superhero comic book movie. This is the new game from Hopu Studios, who you may know from Risk of Rain. You probably do know from Risk of Rain. That game was extremely popular, and deservedly so. Even though Risk of Rain ended up not totally being my cup of tea, it was an action platformer roguelike, which does tick a lot of boxes. But for whatever reason, it never sucked me in to the point of obsession like a lot of other games in this genre do. But Deadbolt is a little bit more of a melange of Hotline Miami, Gunpoint a little bit, but really, Hotline Miami is probably the easiest game to compare it to, except instead of being top-down, it's from, like a head-on perspective, if that makes sense. It's like a 2D platformer-style camera. So in that way, it's also similar to Devolver's game from last year, Not a Hero, but I actually think Deadbolt is probably a lot more successful than Not a Hero from the hour or so that I've played so far. Also, I know there's a lot of machismo in games. Oh, I beat Dark Souls with the dance pad. Well, it was high on Quaaludes and it didn't even die. So how could you not beat Ornstein and Smo on the first try? But this game is hard, and I think I'm probably worse than average at it. So know that going in. But I've had a good deal of fun so far. Don't let that 44 minutes confuse you. I have probably spent about 12 minutes just trying to beat this final, well, not even final mission, but the final mission that I'm on here, and it's caused me some problems here. So, just ignore this kind of like hub world thing that we've got going on here. Instead, I am going to just start a mission up, and then I'll explain what goes on with the base mechanics of the game before we worry about the stuff that kind of surrounds it here. So, I'm just getting a mission and then going to my mission list, and we're going to start out on a relatively early level. As I understand it, the game is divided into 3 acts. So the first act is Zombie Kings, and then you move on from there. Mathis has told me, I know people get mad when Mathis spoils things for me, but he told me that the first act is actually pretty easy, and that's been my experience through the first, like, 5 missions, but 6 and 7 have really messed with me. Despite my score being really good on 6 for whatever reason. But then it gets much, much harder after that is what I've heard. So why don't we start on level 3 here, and I'll explain a little bit of what's going on. So, again, gunpoint is something that's been brought up a lot here because there's a little bit of, like, vent traversal that you can do, and also, I guess from a visual standpoint, it looks quite similar. But rather than being, like, a little bit of a puzzly game, this is much more of an action game, even though there is a puzzle element in just figuring out how to basically take care of the enemies as best as you can. You are playing as this guy right here. I'm using keyboard and mouse, by the way. And you can enter the vents if you want to, like, you know, totally Jurassic Park that guy and make him explode on the commode, which I didn't even mean that to rhyme, but that should be an achievement called the Komodo Dragon. Just a hunch. Also, I like how his face shows up in the mirror. This is completely inconsequential to the gameplay, but kind of a nice touch you don't always see in games, especially, like, 2D games like this, but, just a nice little touch there. You'll see when we go up there, we reflect as well. But anyway, our goal here is displayed on the bottom, and this one it's destroy all ash caches, which I think in this one is not the protagonist of Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, but rather is going to be us destroying these drugs to kind of disrupt the zombie operation here. Basically, it's kind of a glorified objective. It's going to come down to pretty much killing all of these enemies, Hotline Miami style. So we start with the weapon, the 32 revolver. We got a little extra ammo for it. We can also go to our trunk and change weapons if you want. Like, I'll give myself a 9mm pistol and a hammer. And we'll unlock some more weapons as we go. You get souls for killing enemies, which I can't think of what game that's similar to. It just is not even on the tip of my tongue. And then you use those to unlock new weapons that you can start with just by going to your trunk. As soon as you open this door, though, you're locked in. So let's start just by blowing these guys away here. Some enemies are a little stronger, like these bouncers take more than one hit. They take several shots to the head to actually kill. Because they have, well, just basically armor, if that makes sense. So, that was me shooting and running out of ammo. Now, why don't we do the Komodo Dragon on this guy, and I'll explain a little bit more about the mechanics as we get going here. There is, like, some stealth action mechanics going on as well. Like, for example, we can flick off light switches. There's also cover that we can use to minimize our chances of being hit. But, when we switch out the light switch, really we are only visible in the light pattern of the light cone that comes out of another light source. So if we were to, like, trigger an enemy and then come down here, they wouldn't be able to find us until they were basically right on top of us. So I do worry that I might not be able to get the kill here with the hammer, so let's just come up with the sawed off. We're gonna do it like this. I almost botched that miserably, and we'll light this on fire here. Okay. You do pick up more weapons as you go, as you might expect. This is another 9mm pistol. You can also knock on a door. And when you knock on a door, enemies in a decent range will get vision. We should definitely get the heck out of here. We'll not get vision, but get audio. And they'll try to hunt you down. So you can use that to kind of create ambushes here. You can also throw weapons. This is a pretty good opportunity to do. This is ending up being a pretty good vertical slice for us here. You pick up new ammo automatically, by the way. I think that hammer is now lost to the world, unfortunately. But you pick up new ammo for whatever gun you're holding automatically. Let's come down here. This may seem a little easy. This enemy's become alerted. Oh, I don't want to be here, because this bouncer's going to be annoying. May seem a little easy so far. I would say that your assessment is probably accurate. The game didn't really start to become difficult to... Oh, he turned on the light. Didn't really start to become... I got shot and killed in one hit, which I probably should have explained as well as a mechanic. But it doesn't really become difficult, or didn't really become difficult until basically the mission that I'm on, or the mission directly preceding it. Okay. So part of the puzzle of the game is trying to figure out how you would best handle these situations. So I'm going to try to basically save as much ammo as possible. We're going to try this. I really thought I could throw both weapons here. I'm going to try to save as much ammo as possible. We could potentially just hammer the shit out of this this bouncer. I think it could work. And then we don't spend any ammo in our actual gun. And we can take our sawed off, which is much better at dealing with crowds, at least. And there's going to be a large variety of enemies that you'll see once we get a little bit further into the game, or at least a decent variety. Not all enemies are just going to be grunts or, like, armored. We're going to encounter some enemies. I should really get a second weapon here, but... We're going to encounter some enemies that are actually just really, really fast at shooting, and those, you know, they benefit from having a different variety of weapons at your disposal. For example, instead of just having a pistol, you may want to have an SMG that has a rapid rate of fire, so you can get around that a little bit more easily. I should probably be trying to use the vents a little bit more often. That was a surprisingly good shot, because I worried about how I'm going to get through this, but I'll tell you what, let's come back here. And I will grab a knife from the knife rack, which I think endlessly regenerates weapons here. We can use it as a melee weapon or as a thrown weapon. We'll see which one becomes most appropriate for us. By the way, in terms of, like, controls amazing. Visually, I think it's interesting, and I don't even mean interesting in the way that most people mean interesting, which is, like, bad, but they don't want to say it's bad. They want to say it's interesting, because, you know, everybody's beautiful in their own unique way. Which I don't necessarily disagree with. Here, knock on this door. Come on over, baby. But what I would say is that, oh my god, he got me even though I was stabbing the shit out of him. It reminds me a lot of how Risk of Rain looks, and that's certainly not a bad thing. It's just, it just is what it is. I think it looks pretty good, actually. Yeah, we'll take the sawed off. Did not need to use ammo there. I'm an idiot and almost got myself killed and almost ran out of ammo, but ammo hasn't really been that much of a problem so far, so I guess we're fine. Okay, burn this shit. Come down, you should burn this shit as well. Might have forgotten that last time. We'll take our 9mm. More likely to need that than we are likely to need, the hammer itself specifically, I think. Also, music-wise, I like to talk about, like, one standout from, like, an audio-visual standpoint every time. And even though the game looks pretty good, the music is fantastic. Really, really good. It's got kind of like a... There's no way to say this without sounding like I'm 130 years old. But I was with the hip kids at times of my life as well. It's got, like, a really cool, chilled-out sort of vibe, you know, which is a little bit in contrast to the heightened and ultra-violent nature of the game. Holy shit, we lived. Okay, come on up. We may actually be able to beat this. Oh, no, I'm actually a moron. Okay, well, there's no way around this. I have to beat this mission in order to show off more of it. And this is what I mean when I say, like, I know that the people are going to be like, NL. I've been playing this game not really that long, and I'm much better than you. You're the worst piece of human trash of all time. That time I was just trying to be ambitious, and that was stupid. I don't want to beat a whole level with just the hammer. That seems unlikely to me. But, you know, I'll own up to this. For whatever reason, this has not been a game that I have found particularly easy here. I know people are also going to be like, go to the fridge, go to the... Ah! Why am I doing this. The only reason I'm salty about it is because it's distracting from me talking about the actual mechanics of the game. But you're getting a pretty good synopsis of it here. I'm actually getting worse as time goes on. Maybe I'm missing the line, perhaps. Okay, do that. Grab this. This guy's gonna come down here. There you go. At least save one ammo. Use the hammer on him. You know that MC Hammer joint? Please hammer, don't hurt him? Of course you do. It's a classic. This is the opposite. Please hammer, do hurt him. It also goes to show you that even though these levels are short, some of them may take you a long time. They've at least taken me a long time. Some of them take, like, you know, a minute. You just beat them the first try, and you're like, I'm the best player of video games in history. Most of the time, that has not been my experience, though. Alright, so here's my thinking. We pretty easily got through this shit last time. So what if... the first time, I should say. So what if, instead of coming down on top of those guys... We use the vents on the other side to solve this. I also totally forgot to light that on fire, so it is a good thing we came back. Stage cleared, return to your car. I already burned all the drugs. That was my bad. We didn't even have to kill those last guys. That took me 10 minutes, which is embarrassing. Our rank is 5 stars, which is surprising, but actually really good. I'll tell you what, let's go to our docks here. Docks is basically where we're gonna buy new weapons. Again, like, if there's one thing I can say graphically that I think is basically an objective positive, the lighting is really, really nice. Dynamic as well, like, it affects the actual gameplay mechanics. Alright, let's talk to this guy. So, these are not sorted by the amount of money they cost, but we have a suppressed 9mm pistol, it's silent but lower damage, or we could just go for, like, a tactical SMG, silent weapon with laser, holds 30 rounds, good for levels where we want a lot of ammo, I suppose, which actually would be good on our next one. Now we only have 20 souls left. I'm not going to buy anything else with that. But there's all sorts of cool weapons here that we can maybe use for ourselves, like flashbang, stunning all nearby enemies. Might be really useful on the next mission we're going to do, which has rooms that have like 4 or 5 enemies in them each. Similarly, you know, they kind of... They run the gamut on a couple of different spectrums. One is like damage. There's low damage, high ammo, high damage, low ammo. Like this shotgun, for example. Only 4 shells, but also it's loud and powerful. So the other spectrum would be like quiet versus loud, and obviously the usually quieter weapons are gonna have lower damage, and louder weapons are gonna have higher damage, but also potentially attract more enemies. So we will sit down here, and this will give us our next mission. I don't really understand the conceit of this hub world. This is where we come back after every mission and we get kind of abstract story beats in the same way that you might in a Hotline Miami, for example. In Hotline Miami, you know, you'd come back, get a phone call, and a man in a raccoon mask would be like, hey, shitbag, did you get the pepperoni pizza I ordered? And then you'd kind of derive some knowledge from there. The zombie kings have become scared of my hunt. They've begun heavily guarding a nearby motel. I'll find out what they're hiding. Intel. The candles, which are like, I don't know, what's the fates from like Greek history / mythology. They're kind of like diviners that tell us the future. They tell me that zombie kings patrols are nearby. I'll have to be quick in case there are reinforcements. All right, we'll do one more mission here. I mean, I'd like to do more, but I'm pretty bad. So why don't we try to do the mission that I've been failing at for like 20 minutes, so you can laugh at me even more. Have you heard about Reaper? That would be me. Gurgle. All right, so we get introduced to some new enemies here, and I'm gonna take my SMG for this one. Lots of ammo. I like that. We get introduced to new enemies here. It's not just, you can tell I've done this one before, because this guy's giving me a lot of trouble. It's not just, grunts and heavies. Now there's also pairs of enemies, some of which are, or half of which, I guess I should say, are headless, and half of which, are bodiless. And the thing there is they all have guns, so they're just gonna shoot us super, super quickly. And that's why I took the SMG here, because we kind of get the, or I get the sense that having like a spray and pray kind of approach to this seems to be the, oh, I still got killed there. Seems to be the better option. I may be mistaken in my assessment there, but we're gonna try to suss it out together. Because again, like I said, it's not as much of a puzzle game. as something like gunpoint, but that doesn't mean there aren't puzzle elements. And in this case, the puzzle elements are a little bit more, I guess, action-oriented. Instead of... Oh, we need to really wait for him to turn around. Instead of having situations where, you know, you're literally rewiring a place, I guess is what I'm getting at. It's more of a puzzle in the same way that like, a racing game can be a puzzle. It's like, I need to find the best line through this area. That's going to be a metaphor that I know people are... Not even a metaphor, but... It's going to be something I know a lot of people have problems with, you know. Oh, so in Northern Lions' mind, a racing game is a puzzle game. Just get over it, okay? I'm making a point. The whole point of a simile or a metaphor or an analogy is to add a little bit of universality to what you're trying to say, a relatable point that everyone can get down with. Okay, let's try this again. I really do think that the tactical SMG is the secret here. Oh my god! I would also like to point out this is probably not the kind of game where you would expect to succeed on most missions on the first try. We've really got to wait for him to not aggro. But maybe you're just better at this than I am, in which case, you're definitely going to have a good time, I think, relative to well, I was going to say relative to me, but I've been actually having a good time with the game as well. I don't want to, oh my god, take out the hammer, not your fists. Again, that's my own fault. I had the gun active, so when he got close, I used my fists instead of my stronger melee weapon. Oh, he's gonna aggro him probably. Okay, you know what? We start with the gun. Maybe we should just murder this guy. We could also just get past him, but we have to kill all undead on the mission anyway. Oh, we might get him. We might get him. We got him. Okay. Let's try this again. There's another hammer over there, but since I start with a hammer because I bought one for a secondary weapon anyway, we're fine. So knock on this door. This part is not a problem. Now you might be saying, why not just use the shotgun on these guys? Because this guy over here will eat the shotgun and not let the bullet pass through the other enemies. So I think the other thing we could do here is knock on this door. They open it up. That is actually embarrassing that that failed, but at least we're trying something different, right? What did Einstein say? Something, something, if you try the same thing, every time... Oh, I use my fists again. The definition of insanity is trying the same thing 100 times and then smoke weed every day, something like that. I got him confused with Neil Smoke DeGrasse Tyson. I didn't take out my hammer again. Yes, I did take out my hammer! Anyway, we may be stuck on this for like the next 15 minutes, but I'm gonna tough it out for at least a little while here. Allow me to say, though, that Deadbolt is... I'm dead. Deadbolt is $10 American, $11 Canadian. And why you always talking about the Canadian prices, not talking about the American price, or not talking about non-American prices except for Canadian? Well, because I'm Canadian, so it's it seems sensible for me to take that approach. But you know, you can look up your price in your jurisdiction. Do I think it's worth it? Yeah, actually, I do. I mean, it seems pretty short from a level number standpoint, if that makes sense. Like, for example, even though I'm horrible at the game, I am still like 24% of the way through in about an hour of play. So you'd probably, you know, just to be safe, usually you'd be like, that's a 4 to 6 hour long game. Maybe I'll just use the regular SMG and see if that's somehow better than the tactical SMG I just paid for. Or I guess the other thing is we could pop out here and try to just blow them away right off the bat, but that's a lot of enemies. In fact, this room has 5. This room has 4. Let's think a little bit more programmatically here. That actually totally worked. Okay. Take your 9mm SMG this time. Are these guys aggroed? Not yet. Close this door. Get ready to crank on this guy. That was scary. Any more coming? Come on up. Oh my god, I almost forgot how to change weapons in the moment and shit my pants. Okay, so there's still 2 more guys down here. So I do worry about them. I wonder if I try to flank them here, if I'll be able to do a little better. That seemed to go okay. Now, I expected these guys will probably start to come up here soon. At least the ones that are capable of movement. I should probably be using cover way more often as well. Okay, there's 1 more dead. And we still have 4 enemies left on this room, which is a lot. But we can also ambush them a little bit. try this. I don't know. I don't know if that really worked out as well as I'd like. And now there's not really very much space left for me to work with here. So I'll tell you, okay, actually take a different weapon. There you go. We're gonna just come up here with the sawed off and try to blow them away. It totally worked. Okay, now there's backup. So I have gotten to this part once before. There's gonna be 4 units of backup. At least there's gonna be 4 units at a time, if that makes sense. You guys coming up? You guys coming up? There's also a bouncer. That scares the shit out of me. I kind of want to pick them off one by one here if I can. Okay, that was good. That was 2 by 2, but I'll accept it. Are we doing this? He's coming up. Be ready. Oh my god, we did it. Find information. I didn't think that this was actually going to be possible. So find information should really just be like, there will be a place with some blue stuff. We'll click on it. Oh my god, I've never done any lockpicking here. Okay. This is kind of a cool lockpicking mechanic. Very simplistic, but you got to do it a lot of iterations. Kind of neat. Just when you thought you'd seen all the lockpicking mechanics in video game history, they're coming at you with another one here. And that's not my car. That's somebody else's car. Why would I want to get in that, you know, Dodge Charger when I got this sweet-ass Broham here? Wait, what does Twista say in Slow Jams? Baby, pop another slow jam and all the lovers need to hold hands. And if you ain't got no man, hop up in my Broham. That's it, yes. This is Deadbolt. The other thing I hadn't touched on at all is that there are custom levels for the game. There is a level editor. You can make your own levels. I haven't touched them at all so far, but there do appear to be some on the Steam Workshop. Generally speaking, I don't tend to be too much interested in user-generated content for games, but I know that there are a lot of people that are. So that's kind of an interesting selling point. As always, you know, your mileage may vary with it. Some people are really into level editors and playing the community-generated stuff, and some people never look at it. So consider for yourself how much of a selling point that is. But relatively cheap at 10 bucks, and really well done, actually. Control-wise, bad controls can kill a game like this. And that's kind of what, even though not everybody had this experience with Not a Hero, I was like, I can't control my guy to do the things that I want to do. Deadbolt controls in a way that fits my brain, and I like it. It seems like a worthy successor to Risk of Rain. I'm actually probably enjoying it more than Risk of Rain, but they are 2 different kinds of games for sure. And I think this is maybe the most successful Hotline Miami-like that I've played that is not in the Hotline Miami series. So I actually think this is really good. Apparently does get even more difficult than what I've been dealing with so far. So even though I only got to do 2 levels in 20 minutes because I'm mad because I'm bad, it gets worse, so keep that in mind when you're playing it. For some people, again, that's going to be a selling point, or keep that in mind when you're considering buying it, is what I mean to say. For some people, that'll be a selling point. For some people, that'll be a point of contention, that maybe parts of the game will seem impossible until they aren't. But for now, I've had a good time with the game so far, and I would definitely recommend it if you like what you see here. It's available on Steam and has been for like a week or so. If you enjoyed the game, you want to pick it up, there will be a link in the video description below. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.